Good evening, everybody. Stefan Molyneux from Freedomain Von Radio. Hope you're doing well. No further ado. I'm trying to cut down on the fluff. Oh, no, I was. There was somebody who wanted to speak. Now there's not somebody who wants to speak. They come and go. Like, verily, the broaching of a humpback whale. They have arrived and they have departed. So, really, there was going to be no fluff. Now there may, in fact, be some fluff. So, yep, I'm broadcasting to a variety of platforms. Thank you for the tip, Mike. I appreciate that. And also on X, you can join in the conversation. Oh, he's back. She's back. It's back. All right. Can you hear me? You might need to unmute. What happened there?
Do you mind me? Or
Yes, I did. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you. I mean, I listen to you quite substantially. Not nowadays, but let's say 4 to 5 years ago, you shaped my mind substantially. And it's changed a lot of my thinking.
Okay, so would you like to kick off the conversation?
Yeah, I don't know if you like to. From Germany, and Germany is a rough patch. The last, let's call it 15 years. Politicians selling us out and stuff like that. And I started listening to you, let's say 10 years ago, because I mean, you are one of the reasonable minds in the internet back then, and a lot of stuff happening the last 10 years proved you right. And yeah, I just enjoy you and your conversation, so I'm not particularly pushing any topic or something. If something
okay, so hang on, sorry. So hang on. So you requested to talk, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I pressed the button probably, so I requested.
Okay, so you don't have a particular topic. You don't have anything to talk about, right? It's not a criticism. I just don't want to waste time if you don't.
No, I'm free to talk about a lot of stuff.
Okay,
Germany,
you've listened to this show for a while. Hang on. Hang on. So you've listened to this show for a while. So how does it normally work when there's a call-in show?
Oh, I actually don't know how it's working on Twitter or on X. I just like you called in, and I mean, if you want to talk about the shit's going down in Germany with the justice system and all of the shit we are enduring as Germans, we can talk a lot. But if you don't want to, there's no problem. So I like you anyway. If you mute me, there's no problem for me.
Well, let me ask you this. So we've got a whole bunch of people listening to the show. How much do you think you're contributing to the show at the moment?
Well, yeah, you're right. Probably not too much.
Okay. Well, when you can contribute to the show, you are welcome to come back. But right now, this is kind of rude. So I'm not going to, if you want to call into a show where I have people who are listening and want to engage in a conversation, have a topic. it's kind of rude to call in, hey, I don't know, whatever, I don't know, I like, blah, blah, blah. And don't call in if you're drunk. All right. God-man, you are bridging the divide between here and the hereafter. What is on your mind?
Yeah, I just had a question. I just watched it. My name is Derek Allen. I'm an Air Force veteran living in San Diego, originally from Mississippi. I just watched your episode on Joe Rogan. Why do you think he deleted it? You didn't say nothing, like everything you said, pretty sensible. Same things my therapists have told me throughout the years. So I'm pretty sure you've spoken on it. I'm sorry if I missed it. I'm pretty sure he's spoken on it. Why do you think he removed it?
Well, I was 3 times on Joe Rogan's show. He was very positive, very friendly, very enthusiastic, and this is why he kept inviting me back. So twice we were on, had very sort of positive and enjoyable conversations. I will say that he met my wife, and my wife did not like him at all. But anyway, what does she know? She's only a psychologist. But
right.
So then on the 3rd time he invited me down, was very sort of cold and hostile and so on. And I've never seen him do this with other people, so I guess I got some kind of special treatment. But he had queued up. I don't know what that sound is. But he had queued up all of these terrible, quote, misstatements that I had made over the years to do with the voluntary family, and you don't have to be with people who are abusive, even if they're your parents. You know, I've always had a sort of 3-step approach to evaluating relationships. Number 1, be honest. And number 2, have the conversations, try and work it out. Number 3, if people are relentlessly hostile, negative, abusive, insulting, destructive, then you don't have to have them in your life. And it doesn't matter foundationally whether they're your parents. I mean, morality does not create exceptions. It would be sort of like having a theory of physics that say, well, gravity affects everyone except your parents, right? That wouldn't make any sense from a rational standpoint, right? So for me, in terms of a moral universality, it's different for religion, because religion needs the cooperation of parents in order to indoctrinate the children. So what religion generally does is it says to the parents, I will teach your children that they have to respect you no matter what. And in return, you teach them that my religion is the best. It's the same thing that happens with the king or the prince or the potentate, where he says to the priests, I will give you a monopoly on religion in my demons, in my kingdom, but you have to tell everyone that I'm appointed by God himself, and to disobey me is to disobey God and go to hell for all eternity. And so you get a monopoly on religion, and in return, the monopoly on religion supports the secular power. And it's the same thing with parents, just a slightly different context. Philosophy is different because I can't sell the souls of children on the altar of blind parental obedience. I can't do that. I can't make that deal. As a man of honor and honesty and integrity, as best I can, I cannot make that deal. Where I say to parents, you teach them that my philosophy is correct, and I will threaten your children if they disobey you with the eternal fires of hell. I will condemn them. I will read them out. You're going on the list. You're in the book of badness. You're going to get coal in your stocking and Santa won't come down your chimney. I don't have the option as a moralist to carve out exceptions, and I certainly don't have the option to say to parents, you teach them that I'm correct, you teach your kids that I'm correct, and in return, I will order them to obey you no matter what you do. So that's not a choice. Philosophy and morality and universality don't carve out exceptions. I don't make exceptions for the state. I don't make exceptions for parents. I don't make exceptions for people on pogo sticks. I don't make exceptions for cross-eyed people, and I don't make exceptions based on skin color. So morality is, by gosh, universal. Now, of course, when you say morality is universal, you run up against a group of people. And I see somebody else wants to talk. I'm sorry to have dropped the last fella, but there was a lot of background noise, which I'll probably cut from the final. But So when you say to people that morality is universal and voluntary relationships are yours to enjoy, to accept or reject according to reasonable moral principles, then what happens is there are a lot of parents who've been complete and total shitbirds to their children. Nasty, mean, dominant, insulting, and so on, or neglectful. And so, and they've done that because they think they can't get fired. Right? It's only when you go to government offices that there are these big signs that say abusive behavior will not be tolerated. You don't get them when you go to pick up a slice of pizza, right? So government workers are famously inefficient, as our teachers are famously bad, because they can't get fired. So when you can't get fired, you will often act in a lazy and unproductive way. I only once ever worked directly for the government. It's when I was working for the Department of Education one summer. And the reason they had to hire me is nobody got anything done. All these women there just sitting around chatting about their weekend. And I remember one woman was talking about how her husband was quitting smoking and he was such a bear that she was digging out cigarettes from back drawers and begging him to smoke just one so he'd stop being such a bear. And oh, I know. And oh, my husband, when he, blah, blah. Just, they had a good old chit chat. They went on a lot of training seminars. They had a lot of lengthy lunches and so on. Someone was always trying to go and get snacks, and I was beavering away 10 hours a day maintaining the documents that they weren't. So, you get kind of entitled, you get kind of lazy, and you act in a negative and unproductive manner. And so if the sunlight of voluntarism begins to penetrate into the dank and festering layers of abusive households run by abusive parents, well, those parents have been total shitbirds a lot of times to their kids because they can't get fired. Because if anybody says, well, I don't see my parents anymore, people are like, oh, because there's still this long shadow cast by honor thy mother and thy father and all of this other propaganda. Remember, the state does not exist to serve children. The state exists to serve the rich under the guise of listening to voters and taxpayers. And so the government doesn't care at all about children. They're kind of hostages in many ways, and they're to be exploited. Everyone talks about, slavery. It's like, well, children have been enslaved for many, many decades and generations for the sake of bribing the old to not cause a fuss. So there are a lot of parents out there who've been really, bad, mean, negative, horrible, abusive, and continue to be because they can't get fired. Can't get fired. And then someone comes along and says, actually, there's no contract. If they're mean or bad or nasty or neglectful or selfish, you don't have to spend any time with them. In fact, there's a great cost to spending time around abusive parents. The costs are generally twofold. Number one, you feel like crap, which radiates out into every other aspect of your life. That's number one. Number two, of course, that having bad people in your life keeps all the good people from your life. It is no accident. No accident. I'm not kidding about this. Very serious. It's anecdotal, but it's powerful. It's not an accident that I went to therapy. I went twice a week for an hour and a half each time, and then I worked 8 to 10 hours journaling and writing down dreams and so on. It is no accident that after I went through therapy and got the bad people out of my life, I met the woman who became my wife. We've now been married for 23 years, together 24 years. And after having some lengthy relationship in my teens and 20s, I met her. We got engaged in a couple of months and got married 11 months after we met. And it's been great. It's been wonderful. Because I don't have bad people in my life. I don't have crazy people in my life. I don't have negative people in my life. My wife, of course, practiced psychology for 25 years and is very well trained in the field. So if I had a lot of crazy people around me, she might say, yeah, you're kind of cute. You're a good conversationalist, but it's nuts out there. So thanks, but no thanks. So with regards to Joe Rogan, of course, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in that punch-addled bullet head of his. I have no idea. right? But I would assume that either he is concerned about his own parenting, and thus the voluntary family would strike right to the heart of himself, or he married a single mom cocktail waitress. I'm sorry. So alpha. So he married a single mom cocktail waitress, and maybe she has some concerns about her parenting, or maybe one or both of them have concerns about their parents' parenting. I have no idea. What do I know, right? What do I know? But why would people be angry at me who says you don't have to be in abusive relationships? I've never told anyone to leave their families. Not that it would matter if I did. So what if I did? Feminists tell women to leave abusive husbands all the time. They're not called cult leaders, but of course they're women, so they're perfect. So I don't know, but why would anyone be upset at me saying you don't have to spend time with abusive people? Well, we all know the answer to that. Abusive people. You know, if someone comes to my wife, or if you're happily married, your spouse, and says, you don't have to spend time with abusive people, they're like, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm happily married, but I know, right? But who would be upset about someone, let's just say it as easily as possible, who would be upset about someone coming along and saying to married women, you don't have to spend time and stay married to an abusive man? Come on, this is a smart audience, so you don't need me to hedge this or guess at this. Of course, we all know the answer to that the only people who would be upset at someone like me saying you don't have to be in abusive relationships are abusers or neglectors or whatever it is, right? So clearly I rustled some jimmies. I fluffed a few feathers. I stroked the rabid dog in slightly the wrong direction. And so he ambushed me. Like, he was all friendly, and I come down. He's got all these things queued up that I'm so bad, right? You tell people don't have to spend time in abusive relationships, you monster. Yeah, fuck off, right? I mean, it's just noise and crap, right? But, and now, of course, it's become, I mean, every now and then people will send me, hey, did you see this in the mainstream media? It's like family separation becoming more common, and psychiatrists say it could be healthy. It might be the right thing for you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I know, it's moral principles that I was working on decades and decades ago. Yeah, Jeanette McCurdy wrote a book about abusive relationships called I'm Glad My Mom Died. I'm glad my mom died. I read the book, actually, and certainly wasn't as bad as my mom. So, yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, I don't know, but the purpose of philosophy is to make sure that your values are rational, empirical, and consistent, right? The purpose of science is to make sure that your ideas about reality are rational, empirical, and consistent. So, yeah, as far as why, maybe his kids will write a book one day. Or, I mean, single moms tend not to be the most ideal parents, and maybe his wife got pissed. I don't know. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. It's long ago now. All right. We have another caller. If you want to unmute, I'm all ears.
Hi, Steph. Thank you for taking my call. Can you comment upon the social science, I'm no expert on it, that suggests that children who spend roughly equal time with each parent after a divorce tend to have better outcomes in life, assuming neither parent is abusive? Do you agree with that? And then I had a follow-up question. I could state it now.
So when you say that, so you mean if custody is split even, 50% of the time with the mother, 50% of the time with the father, that those children tend to do better?
Some studies seem to suggest that. Many psychologists seem to say so.
Okay,
the law-
compared to what? They do better compared to what?
to spending the majority of the time with just one parent or the other.
No,
Usually,
that's not true. Yeah, that's not true.
You know, in the old days, the kids would usually go with the mother, and they found
Sorry,
that
did you hear me?
worked. Yes, yes,
And what did I say?
that's not true.
Okay,
It's
so
not
can we
true
talk
that-
about the things that aren't true? Because if you just move on with the topic, I feel like I'm kind of not here, if that makes sense.
No, I wanted to follow up. You're saying it's not true that equal time is usually beneficial.
No, you
To a
said
child.
that you said that children do better than if they spend either time with the mother only or the father only. And that's not true, because whether children spend time with the mother only or the father only has different outcomes. So children who only spend time with the father fare much better than children who only spend time with the mother.
Interesting. And what about children who's, and I don't want to say only, but who spend the majority of time with the father? Do they tend to do better than children who spend roughly equal time with each parent?
That I don't know. But certainly if you take the slider down of time with mom and you put up the slider of time with dad, then children tend to do better. In fact, children who spend time only with the father after a separation tend to do about as well, within the range of about as well, as children who come from intact households. My general theory is that women are absolutely essential for, obviously, babyhood, toddlerhood, and so on. And traditionally, in most religions, if there is a separation, then after about the age of 7 or 8, the children go with the father. And that's because fathers seem to have a unique ability to have authority without shrillness, without shriekiness, without, why don't you kids ever listen to me, without, they have this sort of quiet authority. Maybe it's the size, maybe it's the strength, maybe it's the deep voice, maybe it's sort of competence out there in the world. I don't know what it is. But fathers as a whole tend to be much better at preparing children for adulthood, while women are much better at babies, toddlers, up until about the age of 6 or 7. And one of the things that probably did me some good was that from the age of 6 to 8, I was in an all-male boarding school. I mean, there was a female wing to it, but they were very far away on the other side of the fence and so on. So in general, when children are very young, they benefit from close proximity to the mother. When they get 6, 7, and up, then fatherhood becomes progressively more important. And so I don't have the comparison between father only and equal time split, but I do know that father only is much better for children in the long run than mother only, particularly as they get into their teenage years. And so if we wanted to do what was best for the children in the best interest of the child, rather than vote buying and subsidizing the destruction of families, which is what a lot of family law seems to be about in the West, we would take children and place them with the fathers. I mean, after the age of, say, 7 or 8 or something like that, we would take the children away from the mothers if we wanted to do what was best for them. And if you could only choose one parent, when the children got older, we would take the children away from the mothers and we would give those children to the fathers, because statistically, that's real close to an intact family, if that makes sense.
It does. It's really interesting. Can I ask another?
Sure.
In the case of a child who's traditionally alternated between her divorced parents, and she's 13 and a half years old, and now she is strongly opposed to continuing to visit the father on a regular basis, and assume the father's not blatantly abusive, how would you recommend that situation be handled? I trust you would say don't force the 13-year-old, don't pressure too much to go spend a week with father. But I'm curious what you would recommend. Or what you think about.
Is this a personal? I don't know how. Is this a personal situation for you, or something you experienced?
Yes, I mean, I know the parties involved, and they're going through that exact situation, and they're trying to deal with counselors and stuff, but who knows what philosophy those counselors have.
Is this, are you married yourself?
I'm not.
Okay. Why do you want to spend time around people who are wrangling in divorce court?
To spread your philosophy and advise them to be
Well,
rational.
but it would be
to be
better.
peaceful.
Sorry, how old are you?
58.
Did we've talked before?
We did.
Yeah. Okay, I remember now. Well, okay. So listen, guys, if you are around, I wrote about this in my novel, The Future, which you should definitely get at fdrbooks.com. But if you are married or in a long-term relationship and people are splitting up, dump them as a whole in general. Because breakups and divorces spread. It is an infection. It is a contagion. It's a social contagion, and it's very risky. So you're not in a long-term relationship. So, sorry, are you in a long-term relationship?
I just ended one after 25 years, but no is the answer.
Ah.
But again, I
Hang on. Sorry, was the end of your relationship, did it correlate at all with the divorce of your friends?
no. And if I can clarify, these people are, well, no.
Okay.
No, really.
So do you think, or do you have an idea or a suspicion that one of the reasons why the daughter doesn't want to go and visit the father is because the mother is speaking negatively about her father?
Probably not, as though she's probably a liberal and doesn't share our view of the sanctity of marriage. On the other hand, she willingly, happily sent the child half the time up until the child was 13. And the child's got a mind of her own now. It's becoming much more assertive now.
And do you have a relationship with only the parents, or do you have a relationship with the child?
Only the parents.
So you don't know why the girl doesn't want to go visit her father?
This is true.
Well, I would ask. With the permission of the parents, with the parents present. I mean, it's a worthwhile conversation to have if you care about the family. And are you primarily friends with the man or the woman in this situation?
The woman.
Woman, okay. And have you asked your friend why she thinks her daughter doesn't want to visit her father?
I have, and I inquired that they've got to get to the bottom of it.
And what does she say as to why she thinks her daughter doesn't want to visit her father?
Okay, the child just likes to stay in one space for a longer period of time rather than going back and forth.
But
and
that space could, if it's just a coin flip, that space could as easily be the father.
True, and there was a time not too long ago that the child spent extra time at the father's. But so that's part of it, though. Maybe because the mother is female and the child's going through puberty.
Okay.
But
if you've known the family, how long have you known the family?
On and off for about a year.
Okay. And you don't have a relationship with the father, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you don't have a relationship with the father, you don't have a relationship with the daughter, and you have a relationship with the mother who's a liberal, and you're not.
That's true, yes.
What on earth do you have in common? I don't understand this. Sorry if I'm missing something obvious. Did you win the lottery together? Are you shackled together on a boat? Like, what would you have in common with these people, or with this woman in particular?
She is asking me for advice and receptive to it. And I know that you have thought very deeply on these issues, and thus I am curious.
Okay, so if she's asked you for advice, I'm sure you have. She said, "Oh, my daughter doesn't want to go and visit her father," and you have said, "Well, why doesn't your daughter want to go and visit her father?" And is the only response, well, she just wants to stay in one place?
Yes, and that the father doesn't listen to her sufficiently or prioritize her is how the daughter feels. But the daughter's not super forthcoming about why. So the daughter has a therapist of her own. And so basically we've resorted to go to the therapist and get into therapy and see what the therapist recommends. And just wondering if you have any additional thought beyond that. But I think you're saying here, get the child to reveal what all the reasons are, get the father to listen to those reasons and respond to them?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if the reasons are good or bad. So teenagers, let me ask you this. Do teenagers prefer a house where the rules are more lax or the rules are more strict?
Probably more lax.
That's right. I mean, in the long run, they need more strict rules, but in the short run, it's like when you're in school and there's a test, and then the test gets canceled because the teacher is sick or something happened with the copies or something like that, and you're like, "Whew, thank goodness, I don't have to do the test." But of course, in the long run, it's going to harm your learning if you don't get tested on anything because you're just not going to bother, like COVID style, just learning anything. So it could be that the father has standards of socializing, of peer pressure, of behavior, of expectations, of homework. It could be that the father has standards that the mother doesn't, or has lower standards, because one of the ways, of course, in which parents undermine each other is that one parent has standards and the other parent kind of half seduces and bribes the kids by lowering those standards. Oh, that's just your father. It'll be fine. We'll just keep it between us. You can do this. You can do that. You can do the other. And it's a way of breaking ranks and of bribing the child with lowered standards rather than negotiating with the father to figure out what standards everyone can agree on. So it could be that the daughter wants to do more things that are sketchy or questionable, which if she's with the father, she'll be less able to do or less likely to do. And so it could be that the mother is lowering the standards for the sake of undermining and discrediting the father. Is the father far away relative to the mother? Is he like on the other side of town or a state over or something like that?
No, he's near enough by. The child happens to be an A student and has suffered with some mental illness and cutting behavior in the past. Sorry, to make it even more complicated.
All right. And how old was the girl when the parents split up?
Extremely young, maybe 5 years old.
And why did the parents split up?
I did not delve into that. I can only speculate, not a good reason, I'm sure.
And have you ever spent time with the family when they're all together?
No, and they're probably rarely all together. The mother and the father are not.
And how does the mother speak about the father?
Not terribly disparagingly, but she would say he's a hard-headed guy who won't be flexible and listen to the child and adjust. She doesn't sound entirely unreasonable on it.
So she perceives that she is a better parent than the father. Is that right?
At this time, she's a better match for the child's needs. She would
No.
definitely say.
That's like a better match for the child needs. Because what she said about the father was kind of pejorative. That he's stubborn, that he's hard-headed, that he doesn't listen, he doesn't adjust. That those are all, from a female perspective, that's all very negative, right?
Yes.
Okay. So she feels that she is a better parent because she's flexible and she listens and she accommodates and blah, 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 right? So she feels that she is a better parent than her ex-husband.
Absolutely. You've captured it perfectly.
Okay. So she's putting down her ex-husband's parenting by saying he's inflexible, he's too rigid, he's stubborn, blah, blah, he doesn't listen and all of that, right? And in general, with dysfunctional women, what do women mean when they say you're not listening?
Maybe that the listener disagrees with them.
That's right. That's right. If you don't gas up a woman's ego, and it's not all women, right? But the dysfunctional people, I'm not saying 100% dysfunctional, but on the dysfunctional side of things. When a woman says, I need support, what she means is, take my side, don't criticize me, and don't say I can do anything to improve the situation, but wallow with me in victimhood and make me feel better by not holding me accountable for anything negative in my situation. That's generally what support means. You're supposed to support as blindly as a bra does. When a woman says, you're stubborn and inflexible, she means that you don't agree with her. when she says that you don't listen, what she's saying is you don't agree with me. So that's kind of important to understand. If a woman says a man is being controlling, it means that he's trying to bring some reasonable standard to her behavior. Not always, of course, there are psycho-controlling men out of there. I get that as a whole. But when a woman says that a man is being controlling, you know, he's saying, I don't want you to go to the club and twerk in other guys' faces or whatever, right? And so if she's saying you need to listen to your daughter, of course we need to listen to our children, hear them out, listen to them, right? But sometimes we disagree, of course, right? And we all have to negotiate disagreements in our life. So it seems to me that what she's doing is she is framing the father's behavior as rigid, unfeeling, uncaring, not listening, inflexible, which means almost certainly, although what do I know? It's very sketchy information, but I would put dollars to donuts and good odds on the fact that he has standards of behavior, standards of coming home at night, standards of homework, standards of who you can hang out with, standards of dress in particular. If she's heading into her teenage years, you know, there's kind of a race to the bottom in a lot of communities, particularly if she's going to regular school. There's a kind of race to the bottom of how much skin can you show. And the father is probably saying, I don't want you wearing that much makeup. I don't want you to do your hair like that. I don't want you to wear that kind of revealing clothes, whatever. I mean, and so what happens is rather than sit down with the father and say, listen, we need to work out these kinds of standards because it's kind of tough for her to have different standards, what the mother sounds like she's doing is the father has standards and rules. Maybe they're too much, maybe they're too little, what do I know? But they're standards and rules. And rather than negotiate those standards of rules so there's consistency between parents, the mother is saying, oh, you know, he's not listening. He's not letting you express yourself. He's kind of rigid. He's too old school. He's too old fashioned. He doesn't understand the young people today. It's fine with me, blah, blah, blah. So she's given her this kind of warm bath of approval and support and perhaps enablement of negative behavior. I don't know. But it sounds something like that. What do you, I mean, you know the family infinitely better than I do. Is that anywhere close to mark?
That could be, but even if it's not, it's applicable to so many situations. It's really interesting. I did not expect you to say that. And I'm glad that you did. I'm going to think about it. Last thought, wouldn't it be helpful maybe for these two to get with a therapist type and talk to each other?
Help me understand why don't you get another girlfriend and why are you getting so involved in this family that you've only known for a year and you only know one person when you have opposite political ideologies? Like, help me understand why you're getting drawn into this stuff.
I could, and I will if you push me to. I'd rather not say if I could. Let's just say it's for professional reasons that I'd rather not say.
Okay, listen, I mean, obviously, it's up to you. I'm not going to extract facts like a bad tooth and so on. Okay, well, those are my thoughts. I think in general, it's a bad idea to get involved in people's marital disputes. And especially if the girl has is a pretty disturbed behavior and a pretty volatile situation, and you're not getting paid, and it probably is not a very wise thing in the long run to get involved in these kinds of situations at all, because you're not an expert and you have no authority, and they're not all coming to you, right? So let me just, I've got more callers, which I really, really appreciate.
Thank you, Steph. That was great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate the question. Somebody says, single mothers are the number one source of people in prison. Single fathers are more successful. Never seen 50-50 alternating data. I haven't either, but you know, I'm sure that it's certainly better than just a single mother. Somebody says, it's bad for both people. I've been the abusive one, like cheating and shit. If the girl I was doing that to had left me, it would have created some character growth within me. Yeah. Don't forget to like and share these videos. I appreciate that. Thank you for the reminder. freedomain.com/donate. Kay says, nice to see you, Kay. Yay! Yay! I like this. Oh, yay! Oh, yay! Yay! I always wanted to live with my dad growing up, and even when my mom and stepdad were threatening to divorce me and my siblings, all said, were threatening to divorce, sorry, comma, me and my siblings all said we wanted to go and live with him. Yeah. It's funny because I had so little in common with my father. This is why I think maybe I was the child of an affair, obviously with Fabio. But yeah, I mean, my father and I were just almost unbearably awkward together. We just did not mesh, even a tiny, tiny little bit. All right. Somebody says, I was raised by a single mother. I'd much rather deal with a mother. I don't want all that alpha energy shit. Well, maybe, but you kind of want that alpha energy shit when you get older, right? Kay says, in my experience, the men in my life were just more fun and fair. They were abusive, obviously, but the lesser of the two evils. And again, I'm really sorry about all of this. How hot is the mother? He's trying to get a pre-made family, LOL. Steph, why do you think people cut themselves? They cut themselves to relieve the numbness of feeling like they don't exist. It is a way of, they're trying to release the absolute numbness. You know, if you ever have that, you have that Novocaine, right? You get your tooth drilled, you get that Novocaine. It's kind of fascinating because, like, you just lose feeling. You just lose. And imagine that was your whole body. You felt nothing. You had no motivation, no happiness, no sadness, no nothing. So it's like trying to cut yourself to get to the feelings or stop feeling nothing. Kay says, I know why, because I used to do it as a teen. It's to know you're real, to distract from the emotional pain, because the physical pain is easy to manage, and see if anyone even notices or cares. Yeah. Yeah. Kay says, I had 17 stitches in my face, broke 2 front teeth and my orbital bone, and traumatic TBI, and that didn't hurt as much as my mother telling me she loves me but doesn't like me. Sorry about that. But, I mean, I wouldn't sound Fountainhead, I'll get you in a sec. I don't want to sound uncaring, but I guess I went through the experience when I was a kid that my mother had no credibility with me. It's always a big question. Sorry, Mr. Bird Hands here. It's always a big question. Peck, peck, peck. It's always a big question, like, why would you care if some crazy abusive woman tells you she loves you but doesn't like you? Like, why would she have any credibility with you at all? My mother would scream in the middle of the night, I hate these effing children. And it's just like, okay, well, she's crazy and bad, right? Probably because the mom is hot, says Joe. Yeah. It's horrible. It's like a drug problem. Yeah. All right, Fountainhead. Again, I appreciate that. Be careful about getting involved with other people's family issues. It is often a hole with no bottom. Let's call us tonight. How lovely. All my preparation is gone. All right, Godman. Oh, no, sorry, Fountainhead. What is on your mind if you want to unmute? Kay says, I wanted her to care.
Stefan,
so
how are
bad.
you? Hey, Stefan, I got to ask you, what do you think about this amazing man in Argentina?
Millet.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a guy with a goofy haircut who used to sing Rolling Stones songs in a cover band. I mean, he's a rock star. I mean, he's incredible. He's wild. He's an amazing force of nature and a showman, you know, which is, it's great to have the ideas. You got to have a little bit of a show. I was talking about that in the Scott Adams School earlier this week. So honestly, absolutely fantastic. And it would be really, really nice. I mean, I think some people maybe thought this was Trump. Trump was never obviously an ANCAP or anything like that, to put it mildly. And oh boy, I did go and see Melania. I was just kind of curious, and I thought it might be sort of lifting the lid. She always seems to be a bit of a mystery. It's a really bad movie. Sorry, I wanted to like it. I went with my wife. I wanted to like it, but it is a bad, slow, boring movie. Like, you know, Inauguration. It's like, yeah, they're walking down hallways and there's nothing revealing, nothing opening, nothing personal. It is very much a Hallmark, shallow, silly advertisement. So anyway, sorry, that's just sort of by the by. But yeah, I mean, what a powerful and fantastic thing. I've always said there's going to be some country that opens up as a refugee Gulch landing spot for the benighted and hunted productive members of society, and maybe that's the one. Maybe that's the one.
I really, I mean, the guy has game, Stefan. I mean, you've got a libertarian, an anarcho-capitalist, and he has game. And I mean, you should see some of the women he's been with. I mean, we need so many. I mean, so many of these people we have, they're great economists, but they're boring. And I say now we got to stop calling ourselves classical liberals and call ourselves rock star liberals instead.
Radical liberals.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention, unlike Canada and the U.S., the women in South America have not gone completely feral yet. I mean, I mean, to be honest, Mila and Argentina are the only thing that give me hope in this world. Maybe other part, but he seems to be having an impact all over South America, not just in Argentina. People are listening to him.
Yes. I remember many years ago, I met up with libertarians in Brazil and gave a bunch of speeches and told priests and politicians directly to their face at a big giant amphitheater how corrupt they all were. It was quite an experience. I really, really enjoyed it. So I think it's fantastic and exciting. And he's it's funny because he's goofy enough that people don't take him seriously, but he's a very serious fella deep down. And that's kind of a good combo in a lot of ways, to have the clowny show so that people don't take you seriously. The shit leftists, I mean, this goofy stuff is ripping stuff off the walls and magnets off the gone, and it's a show, and it's a good show, and people think he's goofy, which is good. That means clowns can get away with a lot, right? I can't remember his name, but there was a fool or a joker with the King of France. He insulted the King of France, smacked him on the bottom, and he was sentenced. And then he insulted the Queen, and he was sentenced to death, but he was allowed to choose the manner of his own death. And the king said to him, "Listen, you jester, joker, doofus, how do you want to die?" And he says, "I want to die of old age." And he's like, "Okay, fine, you can live." Right. So anyway, if you're kind of goofy and kind of silly, then people don't take you seriously, and you can get a lot of important and powerful stuff done. So, man, good for him. He's obviously, let's say, slightly more skilled at managing his career than I am, and I can't help but admire that. He hasn't been deplatformed. I mean, he's been uber platformed.
Yeah, I mean, he's so popular. I mean, 70% approval with Argentines under 30. I've done over 100 shows on my podcast about him. I talked to so many people. Just it's phenomenal. I should just get up and leave America and move there, because it's also and Buenos Aires also is an absolutely amazing city. It's.
Well, I remember doing a show on the Chicago School Milton Friedman Chilean miracle many years ago, and I know that they veered back and forth. The men want free markets and meritocracy, and the women want security and claustrophobic regulation, and so on. Like I was posting this on X about how a lot of the COVID hysteria was driven by women's evolutionary fear of infection, right? Because women evolved at a time, like I got a bee sting this summer. My hand felt just like two balloons. My hand swelled up. I had to happened to go get antibiotics and so on. Like that could have killed me back in the day, right? So little tooth infections could just wipe you out and so on. So women have this fear of contagion, infection, vapors, bad air, and so on, because women presided over the death of half their children by the age of 5. So I say this with not an ounce or shred of criticism towards women. They're beautiful creatures who keep us alive in our days of greatest want. But women are 10 times more likely to have a somatic disorder. A somatic disorder is when you believe that you have an illness, or you say that you have an illness, but there's no illness. They're 10 times more likely. There are more female than male hypochondriacs and so on. And so if you want to tyrannize the world, say there's something bad in the air and watch women go kind of hysterical and totalitarian on you. And it's just because the evolution hasn't caught up with the fact that we have antibiotics and medicines now that make it different. But so in South America, what's happened, of course, is the women have remained relatively friendly towards men because they need men, because they don't have the sort of cradle to grave. They don't have all of the daycare jobs that are just sort of made up because women get resources, as you know, through the state from men. And they get all this, quote, security. They get all these made-up jobs that just made-up education, made-up jobs. I got a degree in communications, and now I'm working for the government. It's like, it's not a real job. It's getting in the way of real jobs. But because they get all of this pretend security from the state, they can be caustic towards men because in the same way, like if you're a rock star, you can be caustic towards the average female because you've got, hot babes lining up 10 to the dozen at the end of every concert. This path is bigger than my whole apartment. So, so women can be caustic towards men, and they can have ridiculously high standards because they don't need to compromise for the sake of security because they get endless security from the state. So, certainly keeping my eye on it, and I think it's really fascinating. And it's one of these things, kind of out of nowhere. It's like Bukele in El Salvador, just kind of out of nowhere, boom. Because, it's not like I don't track a lot of Argentinian politics. I don't have any beef with them, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a wild thing. Do you want to mention your podcast in case people want to go and get your work on Millet?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Fountainhead Forum. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, and Spotify and Apple. Yeah. You can just follow me, and of course, some South American countries, are still over 2.0 as far as kids go. So yeah, I think South America might save the West. So thanks.
Well, I appreciate
Have a good day,
that. Thank you
Stefan.
for coming by, and people should check out your podcast for sure. All right. Did we talk to Godman already? I think we did. Did we talk to Godman? Yes, we did. Did we drop? Are you with me? Or was that an accidental reach?
Yep, I'm
reject?
back. Shout out to the last guy. Women suck, bro. You right. No, I'm just playing. The book, The Future.
Yes.
Is that, if you had to pick one, I'm 31, I'm a father, is that the book you would say I need to read?
I would say Peaceful Parenting if you're a father. How old are your kids?
He's 6.
I'm sorry?
He's 6.
He's 6. I think Peaceful Parenting would be the one that I would recommend the most.
Peaceful Parenting.
Yeah, peacefulparenting.com. It's free. If you're looking for something entertaining and enlightening and hopefully interesting, The Present is a novel. The Future is a novel. They're, I think, both very good. But Peaceful Parenting is probably the one that is going to give you the most bang for the buck as a parent.
One more. What's the last film that you've seen that you felt like benefited you in whatever way? Like,
The last film.
obviously not Melania.
Yeah, fair. The last film. It's a good question. Well, I did go and see a Godzilla movie with my daughter at a midnight showing. Every now and then you just feel like doing something semi-deranged that makes no sense, but it's very memorable and enjoyable. So
Beautiful.
I got her to go to see, I think the movie started at 12 or 12:30. It was something quite lunatic. And it was a Godzilla movie that was so cheesy. There were several lactose intolerant people in the back row who just exploded. And there was some pretty loud Hispanics that I had to yell at 3 times to shut up. And but no, it was really memorable. It was really a lot of fun because it was so cringe and so committed to the madness of the Godzilla story and so absolutely wildly and deeply improbable that my daughter and I were gripping each other's arms in massive doses of intergalactic spasm cringe. And so that was actually a lot of fun, and we did that not too long ago. But that was very memorable. I don't remember the movie that much, but I remember having a blast with my daughter.
You answered it perfectly. You answered that perfectly. That's all I have for you, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, man. If you do enjoy Peaceful Parenting, please be sure to let me know. I can add that sort of review to the site, the website, and I appreciate that. All right. Does Steph even watch films? I don't watch too many films. I've seen the ones that I wanted to from the past, and I just can't do the new films. I just can't do the new films. They're just too brutal. They're just too woke, too wretched. All right. If there are more callers, that would be great. What have we got here? Your explanation behind cutting was interesting and very plausible. Do you think depression may be similar? I go from feeling like a ghost to feeling depressed. Could I be swinging into depression? So depression is when rage and anger hits helplessness. It's when you are angry and feel helpless. So if you think, right, there's fight, flight, and freeze. Right? Fight is when the anger wins. Flight is when the fear wins. Depression is when freeze wins. Right? I mean, animals are very alert when they're frozen, but they're not moving. So depression is, in my view, again, I'm just an amateur, so this is just my obviously opinion, but depression is when you are in a negative situation that is wrecking your present and undermining your future, and you feel helpless to change it at all. And because you feel helpless to change it, you can't live with it, you can't live without it, so you're just stuck. And you can't express anger, and you can't get away, so you just make yourself inert so that you don't provoke blowback. I mean, think of slaves, right? Slaves can't fight, they can't get angry, and they can't get away. So they're just the best way to survive as a slave is to be low-grade depressed, so you don't get too angry and you don't torment yourself with thoughts about how you might get away. Kay says, actually, I think I know why. It's less and less the more time passes about her mother, but I can still remember her nursing me as a child and how she smelled and felt. Wasn't all bad, obviously, so that's probably why. No, but that's just her flesh. It's just her flesh. Right? Her boob, her milk, her flesh, her smell, that's just flesh. I mean, that's a flesh fetish. It's like a guy who likes, I don't know, a big ass or long legs or big boobs or something. It's just flesh. It's not the person. It's not the person. Kay says, I think it's more of a mind fuck when your parents are really good in some regards and then absolutely wretched in other ways. Total mind effery. No. No. Come on. Evil people are only good to trap you. Evil people are only, quote, good to control you. You know, it's like if there's a guy and he's going to beat you up, right? And then 3 security comes by and he's like, pats you. Oh, hey, man, it's just getting some dust off your jacket. It's like, wow, you know, he was really mean. And then he was super nice. It's like, no, he's just afraid of getting caught. He needs to, you know, protect his own interests and all that kind of stuff. So, no. All right, Frostbiter, I'll be with you in just a sec. Be with you in just a sec. Kay says, oh, yeah, when COVID happened, my son was a toddler and the anxiety I had was almost debilitating. After a few months, I realized there was nothing to be afraid of, but like I panic bought so much emergency food supplies, gloves, masks, etc. Yeah, I knew women very rational, and they were taking rubber gloves to go pick up the groceries, and they were rinsing their mail, not M-A-L-E, but yeah, well, you know what I mean, right? And very sensible, but you know, it's kind of overwhelming, right? And that's good. So you need male carelessness when it comes to health, but you also need your wife to drag you to the dermatologist for a checkup once every month, particularly if you're formerly blonde and currently blue-eyed. So, all right. All right. Frost Beater. If you want to unmute, I'm all ears, brother. Or sister. Or other.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, Stefan.
Hello.
Is it every question open?
Yes.
I was like wondering how you would deal with bitterness and hatred towards people and society in general.
Go on.
Like for example, after the COVID, I'm still dealing with like a lot of bitterness towards people and society, since witnessing how they acted during COVID, for example.
Right. So bitterness, is it because you were surprised? I mean, were you shocked and disappointed at how people behaved during COVID?
More like disappointed.
Okay. So if you are disappointed by how people as a whole behave, it means that you have an incorrect view or model of human nature.
Okay.
That's not a criticism. It's just a fact. If I am single and I'm certain, 100% certain this girl is dying to go out with me, and then she shoots me down and won't date me, then I had an incorrect assumption, right? I thought she'd go out with me and she wouldn't. I mean, let's take a completely impossible, fantastical circumstance of a woman not wanting to get a piece of this, right? So if you had a model that said, well, if people are told about COVID, they will resist, they will be skeptical, they will push back, they will whatever, right? And then they didn't, there was this sort of maybe 80, 90% compliance, then you made an error. There's nothing wrong with that, we all do, right? But you made an error in your evaluation of human nature. So people disappointed you, but that means you had too high a view of them. See, you can't be disappointed if you have no expectations, right? I don't wake up every morning and say, I had to check my messages here, man. I bet you my mom's gone to therapy. I bet you my dad's come back from the dead and he's sorry, right? I don't have that expectation. I'm not disappointed when I don't have any high expectations. You had high expectations and you're angry that people disappointed them, whereas I would say you should not necessarily be angry that people disappointed your expectations. You should ask yourself why you evaluated them so badly, so wrongly. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I don't believe you believe that, but it's very nice of you to say that. So, okay, hang on. So what percentage of people in your sort of environment, the people that you saw, what percentage of them fell 150% for COVID?
I felt like I was completely alone in this, along with my brother. You know, it was like I was alone, completely alone.
So there's you and your brother out of how many people? Like 50 people or 100 people, or like how many were in your environment, school, work, home, whatever, right?
Pretty much just the whole society.
No, like the whole society, because there were non-compliance rates that were higher than, 2 out of 50 is 4%, right? So it wasn't like 96% of people as a whole just lined up and took the vax and had no questions at all, right? So compliance rates varied among atheists, 85, 90%. Among certain evangelical Christians, the acceptance of the vaccine was only the 40 to 50%. And so there was no 98% compliance, right? So there had to be people around. I shouldn't say there had to be. Statistically, it would be likely that there were people around who had questions, who pushed back, who were skeptical, and so on.
Yeah, I just saw like on social media, but they were all branded like crazy conspiracy theorists or something. And my country actually had like 95% vaccination. They lined up like
95%? Well, what's your country?
Or something like that. It's a small country, like a northern country.
Like Northern European?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Europe, right?
Scandinavia.
All the rebels didn't wash back in after the bloody tides of World War I and World War II.
And also like also the bitterness of like there's no like admitting they were wrong,
Sure.
like.
Well, see, but people don't have to be right if they never have to admit that they're wrong. Like, if you're never going to get tested, you don't really have to study. You know, when I was a kid, they'd wheel in, when the teacher had a headache or PMS or a migraine or something, they'd just wheel in the AV little trolley, right? There was a little TV on it and a VCR back in the day, and they'd play some retarded film about mitosis or meiosis or something like that, or photosynthesis. And we'd all say, is this going to be on the test? And the teacher would be like, no. And it's like, okay, great. So we can just pass notes and fart around and goof around and so on, right? It's never going to be tested on it. So the fact that people can be wrong and never have to admit that they're wrong is one of the reasons why they're pretty comfortable to admit that they're wrong. Because they can never be held to account. They can just evade, right? And nobody's going to hold them to account. So you and your brother, and that's about it for the people that you knew, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you got to know different people. You got to know
That's right.
different people. Even if it's a relatively small population, a 5% non-compliance rate is still hundreds of thousands of people, probably, or maybe 100,000 people. I don't know. Don't tell me where you are. I know you're not comfortable with it, and it's fine. I understand that. But you got to get around better people. You got to get around more skeptical people, people who think.
It's really hard here, man. It's like a really small population, man, and you know, there's so much groupthink. There's if you have any like independent thought that's not on the left, you just isolated. But sure, if I put in the effort, I'm sure I could find some people.
Okay, and what decade of life are you in?
I'm 20. I'm turning 28 this year.
Okay, so 10 years from an adult. I'm just going to throw, I don't know what you should do, but I mean, why not leave the country? Why not go to some place where there are more independent, rational, freedom-loving people?
I'm currently just don't have the skills or employable skills. I've been dealing like with.
Sorry, but if you're in Europe, then there's lots of countries you can go to that you don't have to be high skilled to go to, because you could just waltz over borders. I mean, all the borders that were taken down in Europe so that they couldn't have any control over immigration, right? That's all the big plan, right? So why wouldn't you just go? I mean, especially if you're northern, let's go someplace sunny. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to go live around the Mediterranean and be a waiter if you want, right? But why not go someplace warm where there's more people who think like you?
Because like I have like a disability in my feet. I can't work usual jobs where you have to stand on your feet. But sure, I could like be a truck driver somewhere. But I just think everything everywhere is the same. It wouldn't matter if I would go somewhere else.
So you're a yes, but person. Well, I could, but, well, it's really hard. I could, but, and it's like, well, then the problem is not COVID or the people around you. The problem is your own resistance and energy to solve problems. You've got a problem. And sitting there being depressed and bitter at people and frustrated and like, well, what about you? Say, well, people, you know, they're not skeptical. They don't think for themselves. And I'm, you know, obviously I can't solve the problems in your life, but even when I just throw out a couple of ideas, yeah, but, you know, I can't really, and it's so hard, and my feet, and, you know, okay, well, do you want to solve these problems, or do you want to say no to potential suggestions? You can leave. You can get a job. You can find places that are more accommodating to your beliefs. And even though you're in a small country, you can find there's got to be 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100 people. There's got to be people in the country you can find who think.
Yes.
So why haven't you 10 years? I don't know how long you've been enlightened or ascended, right? Ascended is a colloquial phrase. We've ascended. So, I mean, how long have you been, or how long, I mean, at least 5 or 6 years, if it's COVID, how long have you been enlightened or rational for?
I started listening to you like when I was 17.
Okay, so you've had 10 or 11 years. And what have you done to try and create a community of minded people?
I have been pretty much just isolated.
Okay, but don't bullshit me, bro. Come on. You haven't been isolated. You've chosen.
Yes.
I mean, social media has made... Look, I'm sorry. I don't mean to like, oh, I'm the great guy or anything like that. But I'm just... My experience has been like I felt kind of lonely in my 20s. This is back long before the internet. And I rented a P.O. box and I put an ad in the newspaper and I wrote a manifesto and I mailed it to people and I just got involved in mail outs and I tried to find people and I joined libertarian groups and just go meet people, go find people, go organize something, go invite people. Have you ever put out a message on any of my forums or message boards or anything like that saying, hey man, I'm in this country, I'm kind of lonely. Is there anyone else around who might want to meet up for a coffee and talk some sense?
No, I haven't done any like serious reaching out or...
Okay, hang on. So you're hedging now. Have you, when you say serious reaching out, what reaching out have you done?
Pretty much nothing.
Okay, so that's great news. That's fantastic news. Because if you'd spent the last 5 years reaching out and still couldn't find a community, you'd have to leave the country if you wanted to find anyone who thinks, right? So why do you think, and with sympathy, right? I'm not trying to nag you into atoms here. Why do you think you haven't taken the initiative to find people somewhere around who think?
I don't really know. Like it's... I think I'm just not that... I don't just feel... I don't really feel the drive. I'm just comfortable on my own.
But you
still,
can't be comfortable on your own and also say that you feel isolated.
No.
Because sometimes people get into philosophy in order to feel superior and in order to feel magnificently alone and Nietzschean and so on. I'm not saying that's you, but maybe. Because if you have a problem, then the thing to do is to... Sorry to sound annoying, but the thing to do is to try and solve it, right? And you got a problem, which is that you asked me, Steph, I'm so disappointed and bitter with people. It's like, so you feel superior. But are you superior? Because they've got their Kool-Aid and you have your Kool-Aid, which is can't do anything, don't have anything to offer, won't take initiative, just complain, don't take solutions, just have problems, right? Isn't that also a kind of pandemic of the mind?
I can admit to that, but since I became I like took up Christianity, I've been trying to like go to church and be around like trying to meet some nice Christian people and maybe women. But still, like I go there and it's so effeminate and you know.
So you're superior there too?
Yes, maybe.
Okay. Do you think that, I mean, do you want people who are energetic problem solvers in your life? Or do you want people who are kind of bitter and hopeless?
I tend to be more attracted to like...
No, that's not what I asked. I didn't ask who you're more attracted to. Who would be better, let's just put it this way, who would be better to have in your life? Depressed, hopeless people or energetic problem solvers?
The latter.
Okay, so if you want to have energetic problem solvers in your life, what value do you need to bring to them? Because it's not only life, as you know, is not all about what you need, it's about what other people need. So if you want to have energetic problem solvers in your life, who do you need to be? How do you need to be? What do you need to bring to the table?
I need to be able to provide some value to these people so they want to be
Yes, but
around
what
me.
value?
Positivity and love and caring and stuff, you know.
Okay, so when you talk and the way in which you talk, what do you think you communicate to people as a whole? And feel free to chime in. This isn't a crab at you, and this isn't anything negative towards you. I'm going to do my best to try and help you with this issue. But how do you think you, and again, I know there's maybe a language barrier, so I have great sympathy for that, but how do you think you come across when you communicate? How do you think what sort of feelings do you think you evoke in others?
Low energy or depressed.
Okay. So if you want energetic problem solvers in your life, do you think that, just kind of talking like you're just carrying this huge burden and resisting any solution, and like, do you think that that's going to invite and welcome energetic problem solvers into your life?
No.
Okay. So what do you need to change?
My communication.
That's a bit broad. Let's something more specific. Okay, let me ask you this. How do you make a living? You don't have to get into details, but what do you do to make an income?
I'm currently unemployed.
How long have you been unemployed for?
Like 2 years.
So how are you living?
Just unemployment benefits.
So you're living off the government?
Yes. That's
and
the other
why
thing.
are you living off the government?
It's like that comes back to the beginning question, because I feel like I'm trying to get back at the society.
Oh, so petty vengeance and taking money from the government is how you want to spend your life?
No, I'm currently working on getting employed, but still, it's like
2 years, bro?
Yes.
Well, okay. What do you do with your days?
I read. I go to the gym. I try to get like I'm in the sun, eat good food. I try to be as healthy as possible, like physically, but socially, I'm not very good, you know.
So what's missing from what you just said?
Trying to be valuable for the market.
Applying for jobs.
Yes.
I mean, anybody who's unemployed, who's not spending 4 to 6 to 8 hours a day training or trying to get a job is lazy. And I say this with sympathy. You got sucked into an easy life, an aristocratic life, a life of predation through the power of the state. You are being bribed and you're losing your energy, you're losing your motivation, you're losing your soul muscle. You've got no resistance. You just go into the gym and reading some books, listening to some podcasts, cooking some food. Like you're living the life of an 80-year-old man. No wonder you're tired.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that the people who fell into the COVID thing, you're 95% or whatever, do they have jobs? Do they have families? Do they have children? Are they married? Most of them?
Yes.
So how dare you feel superior to them? And you're so disappointed by them? I mean, yeah, they fell for the psyop, but they're working. They have kids, spouses. alive. How are you feeling superior?
Only in that regard. But I realize, like, I'm not like delusionally superior. Like I realize.
No, I think you are, to be honest, and I could be wrong. And again, I say this out of, affection and respect. But you called me up to talk about, say, and Steph, your big question, right? Wasn't how do I get off my own ass and get something going with my life because I'm pushing 30. I'm pushing 30 and I haven't worked in years and I'm losing my motivation. I'm losing my energy. I'm not even bothering to look for work. How do I get off my ass, Steph, and make my life start to happen? You said, how do I deal with the incompetent people in society as a whole who fall for all of this propaganda and my bitterness and my superiority and blah, 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 right? How do I deal with just being so smart and so wise and superior around all of these NPC sheep who have jobs and spouses and children and a life? Okay. Have you had a romantic relationship over the course of your life?
It's mostly just been like before I was a Christian, I was like really just fornicating, and I had like some 1 year fling or whatever, but lately nothing. I don't feel like I have anything to offer.
Okay, so how many women, assuming it's women, how many women have you slept with?
Like 15 or 20.
What's wrong with your feet?
It was like a failed surgery, so it's really, really painful to just stand for prolonged periods of time.
And when did that happen? I'm sorry about that. When did that happen?
When I was 14, 15.
Okay.
I
So
was
you
like
can
really-
sleep with 20 women, but you can't get a job.
I was employed.
No, but I mean for the last couple of years.
I could have, but I was like this society, like it was just the anger and hatred, and so I wanted to get back, and they and all this this tax money would be going to immigrants and single mothers and women and refugees anyway. So I thought, like, I'm like,
You're on strike.
yes.
Okay. Do you plan to get a job in the future ever, do you think? Like, well, I'm trying to understand the plan here. You're a smart guy, so you got to have some kind of plan, right?
Yeah, I'm currently working on just driving a truck.
You're working on driving a truck.
Like I'm trying to get I'm working on getting my license.
Okay.
Like,
So then you
I could just get disability, but I'm choosing. I know it's not good for me to be in this situation, and I don't want to be like this parasite forever.
Well, hang on. Are you on strike or are you a parasite? Is it a noble
It's
not
both.
handing money to the government, or is it a parasite?
It's like both. No, it's more a strike.
Okay, so you're going to end your strike soon by getting a job as a truck driver, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is it that you want out of life as a whole? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to work? At what you're doing, or what is it that you want out of life? Because you've got this amazing gift, we all do. What do you want?
I want I want the most to find like a suitable just wife, a woman I can be with, and have like a stable marriage.
You started
Okay.
listening to me 10 years ago. Are you happy that I have a show?
Yes, you have taught me very much.
Okay. If I was on strike, would you have learned anything from me?
No.
So it's good that I'm not on strike and I'm paying my taxes. That's good, but it's bad for you. How about the people who are allowing you to have an internet? How about the people who make your computers? How about the people who supply electricity or air conditioning or heating or hot water or work as a doctor or dentist? How about, should all those people go on strike as well?
Sometimes I wish they would.
Should they? Would you be willing to live like that? No heat, no food, no healthcare, no roads. You're going to go hunt in the woods? Should everyone go on? Can what you do be universalized?
No.
So what are you doing? You're going on strike only because other people aren't going on strike. If you really want to go on strike, you can go build a hut in the woods, but you're not doing that, are you? You're relying on society's infrastructure and other people getting up and working their asses off to supply you with electricity and data and food and heating and water.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, like this, my conscience, this affects my conscience. I know what you're saying, and I agree with it. That's why I am working on not being reliant on the government and being, taking rather than contributing.
Resentment, 99 times out of 100, is an excuse. Look, would you say, and I'm happy to hear this from the community as a whole, and I'm not trying to make this about me, honestly, but would you say that I have some reason for legitimate resentment at how I've been treated in the world over the course of my life?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Do I let that resentment plow me under and conquer me like an invading army and enslave me?
No, and I admire you for that.
Why don't I do that?
Because then they would win, and you would you get nothing out of it.
Look, my wallet is conquered. My territory is conquered. But not my soul, not my mind, not my heart. There I can stand. I will not cede one fucking inch to the assholes who run the world. And I will not let them take away my joy, my ambition, my goals, my focus, my motivation. You know, Elon Musk wrote on X that he's going to pay $500 billion over the course of his life and in his death in taxes. That's a lot of taxes. Of course, some of those taxes are going to be used for terrible things. Absolutely. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, bad people run the world, so I can't do anything. Well, bad people run the world, so I can't create anything. Well, bad people run the world, so I can't build anything. I can't have any joy. I can't have any happiness. That's letting the bad guys win.
All right.
Don't surrender anything more than you have to. Some being conquered is voluntary. There's being conquered, and then there's surrendering. When you're conquered, yes, you pay, you submit, I agree, but not in everything. Not in everything. Not in what you don't have to. Because we got to keep this flame alive for the future. We can't just surrender. We can't just give in. We can't let the bad guys run everything. You'll probably cycle through a bunch of social groups in your life because you'll have a decent social group, some crazy lunatic, some sociopath, some borderline, some manipulator, some narcissist is going to come in there and run you out. And everyone's going to fold, and the bad people are going to take over, and you'll just move to a new group. It's going to happen. You're going to date some girl. Turns out you were making decisions on something other than virtue, which we've all done. And you're going to get your heart mushed. It's going to happen. And yes, the sweat of your brow will be turned into an acid to eat your soul. Your productivity will be taken from you and used against you. Yep. And some of that you can't control, and some of that you can. You are conquered territory, my friend. You are given up. And you have no fucking right to. Because you're living off the sweat and brow and labor of those of us on the battlefield who won't fucking give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Because it's hypocritical. Because you're only alive and even listening to me and talking with me because I and countless others, many of whom are in this very chat, who haven't given up. Don't let Marxist feminism take your desire to find a bride. Don't let shitty schools and pedo Disney take away your desire to have offspring. Don't let the inevitable clouds of power, humiliation, and degradation blind you to the sunbeams that strike us every day if our eyes are open and turned to the skies above. Don't surrender. Don't give up. Just because half of you is conquered by force, don't surrender the other half to despair. Then they win when they don't have to. There are times when they'll win. I got deplatformed. There are times when they will win. Absolutely. And there are times when you'll win. But you'll never win if you're not in the arena. You think every boxer wins every fight? Nope. You think every book that everyone writes is a magnificent bestseller? Do you think every poet is Shakespeare? No. You do what you can with what you've got. And you don't surrender one fucking inch that you don't have to. You fiercely guard all of the voluntary choices in your life. And we, my friend, you and I, have far more voluntary choices than just about everybody in human history ever had, including the choice to have this conversation and the technology that makes it possible. I wrote a whole novel about this called Just Poor. You should check it out. It's a great book. The audiobook's fantastic. Just Poor. About a child who was a genius in a remote rural village. Who did she have to connect with? Who could she talk with? You have the entire world, the most incredible communications technology that has ever existed. You have the entire world to create a community, to find like-minded people, to find your tribe, to find your people. You have the whole world at your fingertips. You can find anyone, see anyone, connect with anyone. And it's too hard. Compared to what? compared to the Dark Ages, compared to the Middle Ages, compared to the Industrial Revolution, compared to fucking war. You don't have to go to war. Your face and lungs aren't being melted by mustard gas. You're not being drafted. You're not being shelled. You're not being irradiated. You're not being genetically destroyed like in Iraq. You have great gifts of liberty and communication and potential. Think of all of the doomed souls throughout history who, like a spear thrown in the middle of the night by a man who just died, flies through the air, falls, lost among sticks, people's lives, people's thoughts, people's brilliance, came and went and were never recorded. Maybe they wrote something down, maybe it got lost, maybe it got thrown out, maybe it got burnt, maybe it's still sitting in people's attics unread, who knows? But man, I think about all of the thoughts that I have and all of the arguments that I have that I was explicitly prevented from joining the world's conversation. Specifically. I won't go through it all, but in playwriting, in acting, in novel writing, in academia, in business, in podcasting, it's been block, 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 block. Good! It's a game! They're supposed to block. That's what they do. It wouldn't be much point having thoughts without opposition. You don't do weights with helium balloons, do you? They're supposed to block. We're supposed to maneuver. It's no fun. Playing chess with a pigeon, you want people who anticipate your move and block them. That's what the game is. You fight. You don't retreat where you don't have to. You don't surrender what hasn't been conquered. You don't turn yourself into jellyfish when you still have a fucking spine. You don't self-silence when you still have a voice. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's risky. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's a tightrope walk. I get it. Of all the people in the world, I think I have credibility when I say I fucking get it. I've gone from the heights to the depths, to the middle, to back up, to back down, in every single area that I've been in. I was told in theater school, man, you're such a great actor. Forget being a playwright, just be an actor. And then they hated me because they found out about my politics. So I jumped over. Did an English degree. They hated my perspective on literature. History. I was recognized as one of the top 2 people in the entire school. Got no traction in the business world. In my graduate school, my professor gave my graduate school thesis an A+. And I'm like, well, we should get this published. He's like, Block, fog, obfuscate, dodge, counterattacks. Media, Joe Rogan. Media again. Deplatforming. It's a fucking game. It's a very important game. It's a very essential game. It's a very powerful game, the most powerful game. But yeah, you move your knight, they move their rook. You move your pawn, they move their bishop. You move your king, they move their queen. You castle, they move their knight. In every worthwhile battle, a competent enemy gets his say. And here's the thing. If you're going to think, then think and fight. But don't think and withdraw. Thoughts that don't lead to individuation and a connection with a beneficial tribe is a form of self-cutting. It's a form of self-mutilation. It's actually a form of emasculation. It is a form of self-sterilization. And don't use philosophy for that. And certainly don't use what I do for that. Don't use what I do as an excuse to avoid engaging. If philosophy is isolating you, drop philosophy, at least for the time being, and go out and be in the world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. I appreciate the conversation, and I wish you the best. All right, so I want to make sure I get to. We got like a lot of comments here. Somebody says, I bought your book, The Art of the Argument, and my ex ripped it in half. Should come with a caution symbol. Oh, because you became good at debating with a crazy woman? Yeah. Gotta respect black dudes who watch Stefan. Major respect. You'd be surprised. All right. You have to lose a couple of arguments. That's how you get a frying pan to the head. Ooh, sorry about that. Steph, any tips for writing business proposals and closing sales? I just did this call a couple of days ago. I don't know if it's out yet, but it was all about sales from somebody who was an entrepreneur. So I hope that makes sense. Kay says, perfect explanation. I don't remember for what, but I'm glad that it was helpful. Yeah, I washed the groceries with Lysol wipes a few times. Yeah. Do you think the Ukraine war will eventually end in World War III, as it's only escalating as the years go by? No. The purpose of Ukraine is to kill white Christian males, and that's what it's there for. So, what is more dangerous to have in your orbit, an evil person or an amoral person? Amoral, usually, because the evil person will. Amoral person will disable your immune system. Evil person will attack you when you can attack back. Do you believe in divine signs? I do not. I had someone admit they were wrong about COVID, a woman I was friends with who blocked me about it. Last year, she reached out and apologized, and she's right-wing now. Interesting. We got in a pretty intense public debate on Facebook about it, and everyone was shaming me, etc. But something about me likes to fight, but it still hurt my feelings. Nice of her to apologize. But we're not friends anymore. Yeah. Because you have invested interest in disbelief. Oh, divine signs? Yeah, so if I don't believe in divine signs and you go straight to insults, then, I mean, you're just a bit of a douchebag, sorry. You know, you have invested interest. Oh, yes, I just have invested interest in disbelief. You know, to hell with you, I've got rational arguments from the ground up as to why I don't believe in divine signs. All right. He's got a bad case of the Eeyores. Well, you know, it happens. It happens, and I really sympathize. Ben says, I had a similar experience of isolation and disappointment in others for COVID opinions. I told the truth about my views, and people came out of the woodwork in support. Best thing I ever did. I came out of the cave a long time ago, but missed the poo corn. I assume that means popcorn, because poo corn I would not miss. Although sometimes there's corn in my poo. Oh, well, that's a topic for only Stefan's. Not sure if Stefan reads YouTube posts. Yeah, I'm not sure either. Let me just get to, if your tribe around you is hostile and crazy, you can feel alone and not want to reach out. Yeah, it's demoralization, right? So they want to make you feel hopeless and give up and all of that kind of stuff, right? Iron sharpens iron. Yeah, I mean, those are, you know, catchy phrases, but it's hard to know how to translate that into actual practical things. He sounds depressed. He comes across as helpless. Yeah, uninterested and unmotivated, plus ready with excuses. But that's the demoralization, right? So they can get you to feel that you're alone, that it's hopeless. That, and I mean, I fight this from time to time. What have I done? Is it worth it? Is the stress sometimes, or the pain, or the disappointment, or the loss of income? Like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And it's like, you know, basically just come back to, I do what I can, just as my ancestors did, just as everyone did who handed us this freedom. You do what you can, and the rest is up to people's individual choice, right? I put the information out there, and then people make the decisions. Some people just need to do mushrooms and get a factory reset. LOL, sorry. Yeah, please don't promote drug use in my show. You know that, right? A large percent of the population got the vax due to employment pressure. Yeah, and of course, a large number of people thought they were killing granny if they didn't take the vax and all of that sort of stuff, right? Of course, I mean, the vaccine, to the degree that it did work, it just suppressed symptoms, which made people more likely to infect others. I feel this caller. Yeah, me too. He said he's Christian, but he's still living in hedonism. I don't think he's given up the sleeping around. All right. Bum, 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 bum. How to call Steph. Been listening for years. Don't know how the call-in works. Attack me. That's fine. There's no reason why you would know. So get yourself an X account, and we use X for the call-ins. Or you can go to freedomain.com/call and book a public or private call-in with me. So you can go to freedomain.com/call, and you can book that. Or again, on X is how you call me on this. Scott Adams once said he lost like $100 million for supporting Trump. Well, and maybe more, right? Because it could have bled his immune system dry. Way to bring this home. Great point, Steph. Don't give up. He's not giving up. He's trying to decide what move to make next in a world with few moral choices. Well, I mean, you can go with my expertise or you can go with your preference. I'm fine with either. Even Shakespeare, the top G of writing, only a few pieces of work are popular out of thousands he wrote. Yeah. I've cold called like 200 companies recently. So far, I got one meeting that is positive, but each sale is worth a lot, so it evens out. Yeah. I think in general, if you're getting 1 out of 100, usually it takes about 100 calls to get one sale. So, but that was back in the day. Steph, you may have an arsehole problem that rubs people the wrong way. This is the guy who was bitching at me. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe that's projection. Maybe that's projection. All right. Great speech, amazing rant. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll stop here. I had a crazy early morning this morning for a variety of reasons. So I'm going to pass out, have a little food and pass out. So we will speak to you Sunday at 10 a.m. for the donor-only call-in show. So I'd love it if you would subscribe for that. freedomain.com/donate to help out the show. Really would appreciate it. Thank you for the tips here today. Very humbly and deeply and gratefully appreciated. So I will talk to you all on Sunday morning, and maybe we'll be able to squeeze in another live stream this weekend. Because I'm working on a new book. I just can't stop. Can't stop myself. Because I love writing. I love the writing. I love the writing, particularly of fiction. But yeah, I'm working on a new book. So it's a really great deal of fun. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I'll talk to you soon.